Good evening. Words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and depression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and soliciting your submission.
We need cameras.
How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those who are more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror. Fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words. They are perspectives. So if you've seen nothing, if the crimes of this government remain unknown to you, then I would suggest that you allow the 5th of November to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside me.
In May 2007, President Bush signed the National Security Presidential Directive 51. The unclassified portion of NSPD 51 states that in the event of catastrophic emergency, a cooperative effort among the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the federal government, coordinated by the president, will replace normal governmental procedure. With recent warnings of potential terrorist attacks coming from U.S. authorities, civil liberty proponents are growing increasingly concerned about preparations the federal government is making for a potential emergency situation. As of October, a full Army brigade is on active duty within the United States to deal with civil unrest and crowd control. According to a late September Army Times article, the brigade will be under the control of Northern Command as a federal response force for natural or man-made emergencies, including terrorist attacks.
The Washington Post reports the U.S. military expects to station 20,000 uniformed troops inside the United States by 2011 to help state and local officials respond to assist in homeland security. The Pentagon's plan calls for 3 rapid reaction forces to be ready for emergency response by September 2011. The first 4,700-person unit, built around an active-duty combat brigade based at Fort Stewart, Georgia, is already available to be deployed domestically.
The National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2007, and it basically said Congress hereby creates an exception for posse comitatus anytime that the president says there's a terrorist incident, a natural disaster, and then this open-ended loophole or other condition that makes him conclude that state authorities are not sufficient to suppress insurrection, domestic violence, rebellion, or otherwise. So that statute now basically endows the president with authority in his own unilateral discretion to decide that he will use the military anytime he wishes for domestic law enforcement purposes, and this brigade or this combat unit is certainly prepared to do such implementation at the president's beck and call. And it's outrageous, in my judgment, that these ideas or plans for continuity of government that would purport to have the force of law should occur in secret. You know, secret government is what you do in the old Soviet Union or in communist China, not the United States of America where the people rule.
The magnitude, we're talking 55 trillion plus in a hole, the federal government. 55 trillion plus. And secondly, nobody's going to bail out America. We're going to have to solve our own problem. People have not learned. You got people lining up at the trough. Government doesn't have any money. We don't have any money. And what's going on right now is massive taxation without representation.
You can't believe how wicked these people are to play games with your lives and the lives of your babies. Create a war just to get more money, to charge more interest, and send your babies to die for bullshit. Bullshit.
5th of November, 5th of November, 5th of November.
Violence in the Middle East as Israeli troops and Palestinian militants clash along the Israel-Gaza border. The fierce gun battle erupted late on Tuesday night. Officials say one militant was killed in the violence. This is the first armed confrontation between Palestinians and Israelis since a truce took effect back in June. Israeli Defense Force officials say that Palestinian militants plan to abduct Israeli soldiers through a tunnel. The Israeli officials claim that a special army unit was headed to the area to destroy the tunnel. It was not immediately clear whether troops were inside Gaza.
5th of November.
It was not immediately clear whether troops were inside Gaza.
If I were a Jew, I'd be a Zionist. I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
The extent, the intensity of your retaliation has been widely condemned, not only in the Arab world, but across Europe. Are you afraid this could be counterproductive? Some critics have said that it's self-interest that you're looking after, that you're out for redemption after the 2006 Lebanon war, which instead of decimating Hezbollah as intentioned, empowered them because they remained defiant. Is Israel looking for a bit of redemption here? When will you stop?
Promote the peace process that was launched in Annapolis. Sorry?
When will you stop? Will you launch a ground war? What is the ultimate objective? Zippy Livni, thank you very much for joining us once again here on the program.
Thank you.
In the end, the speculation was spot on. Just after nightfall on Saturday, as many as 10,000 Israeli troops crossed into Gaza. Backed by columns of tanks and F-16 warplanes, the operation is Israel's largest offensive in Gaza since it left the coastal strip in late 2005. The Israeli government says the operation will last some time.
Our military activities will widen and deepen as much as needed.
The ground operation has made Hamas even more defiant. It claims Israel has walked into its trap and the coastal strip will become a graveyard for Israeli soldiers.
This is not the first time Gaza is facing an invasion. We have already suffered the air offensive, and the resistance faced that campaign and kept fighting. The resistance is competent in guerrilla warfare, so we will never lose. Protecting our leaders is not as important to us as protecting the Palestinian people. 61% of them voted for Hamas in the last elections. This shows that Hamas is not a small movement. Rather, it is representative of the Palestinian people and the Arab people as well. So when Israel declares that it wants to exterminate Hamas, it is declaring its intention to exterminate the Palestinian people as a whole.
Palestinian health officials say civilians are among those killed in the hours of heavy artillery fire that preceded the ground operation.
We believe that Israel is not targeting only the Hamas militia. We have been witness of the bombing of the Islamic University. We have been witness of the bombing of a couple of ambulances in the last 72 hours, and of course the whole destruction of the infrastructure of the Palestinian administration here in the Gaza Strip that is not related necessarily to Hamas.
Many people are continuing to leave the area because Israel has dropped pamphlets saying you are going to be targeted because of the terrorist activities occurring from this region. Many people are saying, they have nowhere to go. This is where they live. They have no option, and they feel like nowhere in Gaza is safe.
The Zionist movement was something that I related to and connected to.
The nigga bought aluminum tubes. Ronnie will tell you what the you can do with an aluminum tube. Aluminum! That don't scare you? Bang. I didn't want to say this. The motherfucker bought some yellow cake, okay, in Africa. He went to Africa and he bought yellow cake. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, bitch. Go sell some medicine, bitches. Trying to get that all. Who said something about all, bitch? You cooking? Oh.